Hello and welcome to River Online. I'm Nay.
And I'm Adam. And this is, we're your hosts for today. This is our first ever live broadcast, and we're so glad that you guys are here to join with us.
Just to your right over here, there is a chat box. So if you're joining us live, you can put comments or questions in that. Beth is on the other end of our chat today. So do drop a hello if you are watching live.
And of course, if you're watching this on catch up, please do drop us a comment below in the comment section, and we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to answer any questions you might have. So this week we are starting with the theme, what's love got to do with it?
What's love got to do with it? That one.
Yes, that one.
So what has love got to do with it? Love, faith, life.
Well, stay tuned and we're going to find out and explore that together.
We're joined today by Colin, who's going to be speaking to us about love. And later on, Scott is going to do a performance song for us.
Yes, so starting off, I've been out on the streets this week asking different people, what does the word love mean to them? Whilst we're watching this video, why don't you pop in the chat box what the word love means to you? Let's go.
Yeah. Love means being true and honest throughout good and bad times.
For me, love is my family.
I like you very much.
You've got romantic love that comes to mind immediately.
Belonging, so whether that's family or friends or God, that you feel somebody cares and that you matter, that you belong.
For me, the word love makes me think about people and about my friends and my family and spending time with people that I love.
I love someone wanting the best for someone.
For me, it's got to be something robust and it's got to be something that doesn't just waver with feelings.
Willing to put others first, even to your own detriment.
I just love these guys like so fiercely.
It's a decision to be loving and to love, even when everything else around you is not helping that.
I was a bit, wondering how I'm going to love another child as much as I love the first. And then he came along and a whole new well of love sprang up. And it kind of just showed me how God loves all of us.
There are some really great thoughts there. And the one I love the most is the sense of belonging. And for me, that sense of belonging is a really important part of feeling loved.
Yeah, totally is. Let's have a look at the chat. Unconditional, being accepted, and being able to be 100% yourself and being accepted. Those are some great comments from the chat there. Keep them coming in and we'll try and pick up on them later if we get some more in there. And feel free to, again, keep dropping any questions or comments in there.
So what does love mean to you?
Love for me is, it's a deep sense of relationship. It's that really strong bond that you get between family members or friends, a partner or a spouse. But, I mean, the word love itself in the English language is really narrow. So we've got Beth, who's been exploring this week. what the different types of love are. Over to you, Beth.
Thanks, Adam. Now, this week I've been thinking about the word love. Now, I use the word love lots in different situations. So, for example, I love my husband. I also love Thai food. And I also love my mum. Now, every single time I say love there, I mean something quite different. But the English language doesn't have different words to differentiate between different types of love. The ancient Greeks, however, had it right. They had up to 8 different words for love in different contexts. They had words to describe family love, to describe friendship love, to describe romantic love, and even to describe self-love. The Bible uses 3 of these words to help describe love. The first is storge. Storge? Storge. This describes family love, the love that a mother has for her child and a child has for their mother. The second type of love is philia. This is the powerful emotional bond between friends. It's friendship love. And the third and most important love in the Bible is agape. Agape? Agape? Agape. Agape is God's immeasurable, incomparable love for mankind. For you. Agape love is perfect. It is unconditional, it's sacrificial, and it's pure. Now, unfortunately, the ancient Greek language didn't stretch to a word for how much I love Thai food. I guess you can't win them all. Back to you, Adam.
Thanks, Beth. I love that agape love. It's so difficult to get our heads around what that unconditional love really means and what it really means to us. But I know a guy who might be able to give us some light on this. I'm joined in the studio by Colin Barnes, a keen theologian and our guest speaker this week. Welcome, Colin.
Hi, Adam. It's good to be with you.
It's great to have you here. And it really... I'm just going to get straight to the point. We've got some questions for you.
Good.
And the first is the title of our video. What's love got to do with it? What's love got to do with faith and religion and God? Yeah.
That's a great question, Adam. And I'm going to take you to Jesus because he's the one that defines it for us. You know, when he started his ministry, the Jews already had a whole load of books, you know, that in their 39 books of their Old Testament, and you know, written over hundreds of years.
And those are their old scriptures, you know, from years ago.
Yeah, it was their Bible, and in that Bible, it had a command to love your neighbour, and they would argue about that. They would try and define it so that they made sure they loved the right people.
Okay, yeah.
So they wanted to know who was neighbour and who wasn't, so they knew who to love.
Very specifically.
Yeah. And what Jesus did right at the very outset of his ministry was to say, you know, you've heard it said, love your neighbour, but I tell you, love your enemies. Bless those who curse you and pray for those who persecute you.
And he was so good at that.
It was radical, absolutely radical, yeah. And he demonstrated that by blessing the Romans and those who collaborated with them, you know. So he demonstrated it. Yeah. And he developed this theme of love as his ministry progressed. And you get to one point where he says that, in fact, all of the Old Testament, that all of the writings that the Jews honoured as kind of revelation from God actually hangs on or is built around 2 commands, and that is to love God and to love people.
Really simplified.
Yeah, really simplified. And, you know, but he goes another step after that, to just before he gets arrested and crucified. He says to his disciples, a new command I give you. And he says, love one another.
Well, that clears that up, doesn't it?
Well, it does. You know, this is an amazing. I love this. When you say that, everyone's included. There's no way you can interpret that as just being the person who lives next door or just your friends or your family. Yeah. This means about loving every single human being that you encounter because we're all made in God's image. Yeah. And that is amazing.
God loves us, so therefore we should love everyone we meet.
Yes.
Doesn't matter who they are, their nationality, their gender, the colour of their skin. We should love everyone equally and wholeheartedly.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Amazing, yeah.
So, you know, what that might mean for us is, you know, well, let's go look at some of the early followers. There was a chap called Paul,
Yes.
who actually was an enemy of Jesus's and Jesus's followers.
He was, persecuted Christians.
Yeah, he used to go around hunting for those who followed Jesus, arresting them, torturing them, even having some of them stoned. Yeah. But he had a radical encounter with Jesus and started to preach Jesus. And, you know, he sums it up and says, the only thing that counts is faith expressed through love. It doesn't matter if you're Jew or if you're Gentile. It doesn't matter if you're black or white. It doesn't matter if you're male or female. The only thing that matters, if you want to be a follower of God, is to love people.
Yes.
Which is, you know, it is amazing. And so for me, you know, as I think about today, you know, we're living in a time of trauma. The whole world's been traumatized by COVID, you know, and
Turned
you know,
upside down.
yes. So I think we can really help by loving one another. Yeah. And Paul goes on to define what love. He doesn't leave it as some kind of airy-fairy kind of notion. He says, and you've probably heard this before, he says, love is patient, love is kind.
Patient and kind,
Yeah, and so I think if we were to concentrate on showing a bit of patience to people, showing a bit of kindness to people, you know, in these days, as we emerge from lockdown, when we're all a bit edgy, that will help enormously. That means, you know, that means being kind to the person at work who might wind us up, or our neighbour that parks in the wrong place or grows his hedges too big. It just means
patient.
Yes.
Yeah.
And kindness and patience. If we express that, if we worked on that, I think the world would be a better place.
So much so. And you guys might recognise that verse, love is patient, love is kind, because it's read out at almost every marriage ceremony there is out there. So if you've been to a wedding before, often that's read out as a blessing over a couple getting married. Love is patient, love is kind, and it's the foundation that relationships are or should be built upon. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being with us. It's been great chatting with you. And we're gonna move over to our next section now. We've got a performance by Scott Mclaughlin. I love music. Music really speaks to me. It speaks to my heart. Lyrics and melodies and tunes are just so powerful. And I really encourage you, when you listen to this song, listen for the words there and link it into listen to the words and see where the theme of what we have going on here, love, threads through that. So I'm going to pass over to Scott, who's going to perform Lauren Daigle's You Say.
I keep fighting voices in my mind that say I'm not enough. Every single lie that tells me I will never measure up. Am I more than just the sum of every high and every low? Remind me once again just who I am, because I need to know. Oh, 'cause you say I am loved when I can't feel a thing, and you say I am strong when I think that I'm weak. You say I am held when I am falling short, and when I don't belong. Or you say I am yours, and I believe what you say of me. I believe what you say of me. The only thing that matters now is everything you think of me. In you I find my worth, in you I find my identity. Taking all I have and now I'm laying it all at your feet. You'll have every failure, God. You've got every victory. Whoa, oh, you say I am loved when I can't feel a thing. And you say I am strong when I think that I'm weak. You say I am held when I'm falling short. And when I don't belong, oh, you say I'm yours, and I believe what you say of me. Yes, I believe what you say of me. You say I'm loved when I can't feel a thing. You say I'm strong when I think that I'm weak. You say I'm held when I am falling short. And when I don't belong, you say I am yours. I believe what you say of me. Oh, I believe what you say of me.
Thanks, Scott. The words of that song are really relevant to what we've been talking about today. My favourite part is, when I don't belong, you say I am yours. And that really hits home for me. We're going to hear now from Paul, who's going to talk to us about his experience of love, and he's going to share his story with us. Over to you, Paul.
Hi, my name's Paul, and I'm going to talk to you about what I know about love. I guess I knew about love from all the pop songs of the 80s and the 60s and the 70s. And I guess the Beatles, they had it completely right when they said, all you need is love. And, wow, man, if you look around the world today, I think we really need love right now. There's so much division. But anyway, yeah, love is a precious thing. And, yeah, I grew up in a household where, you know, I was one of 7. And I think as a baby, I got all the love from my mum. But not very much from my dad. He wasn't the best example of fatherhood. And that's where my testimony of love comes in, really. Because when I became a Christian, I understood about the fact that he loved me. Oh, man, yeah, I really got that. And that was easy for me to understand. That was easy for me to take. But I think for me, the thing about of love is loving as a father as well. And also the other thing that I'd never come across before was unconditional love. I never really experienced anything like that before. And when I found out that God's love was unconditional, that was incredible. And took a while for that to actually to get in, to soak into my heart and soak into my mind. But yeah, we did. And now I understand through his word that God is amazing in his love for us. He even says in the Bible, yeah, he has perfect love for us. It's perfect. And we know that perfect love drives out fear. And that's great. And, you know, I could go on about how God rescued me. I could do that. But I want to talk about how love is changing me right now. Because I have a little boy who's actually quite naughty, you know. He's great. He's a good lad. But he's a challenge, you know. He's a challenge. He's a proper little boy. Everything is at 1,000 miles an hour, and breakages occur all around him, which of course he never owns up to. He broke the TV the other day. Incredible. It only had the TV for a few months and broke the TV. Wonderful. How I kept my temper, I do not know. But there it is, And And this is where God has changed me. Is where God has unveiled this this onion of love, the different layers of God's love, and how they unravel in you as well. Because even though, my kids are naughty and stay up late and scream and break things and all sorts of crazy stuff like that, but my love for them is unconditional. They don't have to be good. They don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be the best kids in the world. In fact, I quite like it when they're a bit chaotic. But yeah, that is God's unconditional love, and He's shown me that that He is a father to me, and that I can be a father to them, just by really just focusing on how God loves me. And I've learned a lot, especially in the last 6 months, about how God loves me, and about how I love my children, about how I love my wife and the people around me. Yeah, I've learned a lot recently. So there it is. For me, God's testimony is about His unraveling. Yeah, I felt it powerfully as I become a new Christian, and it became more subtle, but still nonetheless special and amazing. But here I am now, 100 years old. I've lost all my hair, look. I'm learning so much more about God's love just by loving the people around me, just by loving my children unconditionally. And there it is. That's my testimony of love at the moment. Anyway, cheers then. Love you. Bye.
What an amazing story to hear. Thank you so much for sharing that, Paul. It's crazy to think how such a relationship with God can change, and that understanding, especially of that agape love, that unconditional love, can really impact the way that we can love others. As we heard there about Paul sharing the story about how he's basically copied and pasted that love that God has for him, that he now has for his son, that unconditional love. Let's take a moment to stop and think about what we've heard and learnt this evening. The different types of love there are. How we're all encouraged to love one another, Jesus' command with that. And that unconditional love that God has for us, where He'll love us through thick and thin. It doesn't matter what we do, He will always love us. And I challenge you that through learning about these different types of love, it will impact us in what we do this coming week. And I'll go a step further. I challenge you guys to perform a random act of kindness this week to someone. So going out of your way to love someone and put a smile on their face, especially if you think they don't deserve it, especially if they kind of wind you up a bit or they're parking in your spot or things like that. Go out of your way to show and demonstrate some love to another person. And the world's going to be so much better place if everyone was doing that. I pray that this week, with that better understanding of love, that it's going to change the way that we think and we act towards everyone we meet.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening. If there's something you'd like us to look at in future episodes and you've enjoyed today, please put some suggestions in the chat box or in the comments below.
Yes, and you can always hit the thumbs up button. Give us a like if you've liked the content you've seen today. And consider subscribing to the channel and you'll get a notification when we next go live. And talking of that, we're going to be back in 2 weeks' time looking at the topic of peace.
Thanks again for joining us. Have a great week.
Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Bye.